1960. A man rises before dawn. He pulls on his work boots, kisses his wife, and walks toward the factory gates. His weekly wage packet will decide everything: what his family eats, where they live, what they dream. £14, 2 shillings, 1 penny. That was the average weekly wage for a British manual worker in April 1960. 48 hours of labor, 6 days a week. For most families, this single envelope meant survival. Women earned far less, £7 a week, half of what men receive for similar work. No equal pay laws existed yet. A woman's wage was considered supplementary, pocket money, not enough to support herself alone. Britain in 1960 was a nation of factories, engineering, textiles, steel, coal. Millions of men clocked in each morning, punched their cards, and built the products that kept the economy turning. Manual labor was the backbone of Britain. £728 a year. That was a working man's annual income. Today it sounds impossible. But in 1960, this modest sum could build a life, buy a home, raise children, create stability. £2,189. The average price of a British home in 1960. 3 years of wages. Today, that same house would cost 12 times the average annual salary. The gap has become a chasm. A deposit, a mortgage, a home of your own. In 1960, it was achievable. Banks lent cautiously. Only the husband's income counted. But a working family could still afford to buy. Ownership was within reach. Council house rent, 35 shillings a week. That was the economic rent for a newly built council property, less than £2. From £14 earned, this left 12 for everything else. Food, fuel, clothing, life itself. Tower blocks were rising across Britain. Concrete solutions to the housing crisis. Indoor toilets, running hot water. Central heating would come later. For families leaving Victorian slums, these flats represented progress. A step up. A better life. The weekly shop. £4 to £5 for a family of 4. Bread, milk, eggs, bacon, tea, sugar. Every penny counted. Every purchase calculated. The housewife knew exactly what £14 could and could not buy. A large loaf of bread, 1 shilling and 2pence halfpenny. A pound of butter, up to 2 shillings and 10pence. A dozen eggs, 3 shillings and 8pence to 4 and 6. Simple food, simple prices, simple arithmetic that ruled every household. Milk arrived at dawn. Glass bottles on the doorstep. The milkman knew every family by name. Payment collected weekly. A few pennies per pint. In 1960, this ritual connected every street, every morning, without fail. The butcher's shop. Back bacon cost 4 shillings and 10pence to 7 and 10 per pound. Meat was a luxury measured carefully. Sunday roast was sacred. Monday brought cold cuts. Tuesday meant shepherd's pie from leftovers. Sunday dinner, the most important meal of the week. Roast beef or lamb, Yorkshire pudding, roast potatoes, gravy made from drippings. The whole family gathered. This meal represented security, normality, evidence that father's wage was enough. Television was transforming British homes. Not everyone had one yet. Those who did became neighborhood celebrities. Families gathered in parlors, watched the BBC. The flickering screen promised a wider world. Entertainment once reserved for the wealthy. Petrol, 4 shillings and 8pence per gallon. Not per litre, per gallon. A working man could fill his tank for less than £1, if he had a car at all. Most families still relied on buses. The morning bus. packed with workers heading to factories, docks, and warehouses. A few pence for the fare. The conductor punched tickets. Cigarette smoke filled the upper deck. This was how Britain moved, slowly, together, every single day. A pint of beer, 1 shilling and 10 pence. The pub was a working man's parliament. Friday night, payday, a pint or two with mates, darts, dominoes, stories from the factory floor, a reward for the week's labor. 20 cigarettes, 4 shillings and a penny, nearly half a day's wage for a packet. Yet almost everyone smoked. Factories, pubs, buses, cinemas. The health warnings would come later. In 1960, smoking was simply normal. Coal kept Britain warm, delivered by horse and cart. Sacks carried on strong backs, tipped into bunkers and cellars. Every home had a coal fire. The grate needed lighting each morning, ashes clearing each night. Warmth came from hard work. Monday was wash day. The copper boiled, the mangle turned, clothes hung on lines stretching across backyards. No tumble dryers, no washing machines for most families. A wife's labor was unpaid, unending, essential to the household economy. Teachers earned poorly in 1960. A newly qualified teacher received just £570 a year, less than the average manual worker. Education was respected, but not rewarded. The classroom offered status without wealth. A curious contradiction. Farm workers earned the least. £8, 15 shillings a week, dawn to dusk in all weathers. No factory bells, no clocking in, just the land and the seasons. Britain's farms fed the nation on poverty wages. Miners descended into darkness, earned their wages in cramped tunnels far below ground. Dangerous work, dirty work, essential work. Coal powered the nation. The men who dug it were both heroes and expendable. Their lungs paid the final price. Engineering was the pride of British industry. Men who built cars, machines, tools. The average engineering wage matched the national figure, £14, 2 shillings and a penny. Skilled hands, steady work, a craft passed from father to son. London bus drivers earned £17, 8 shillings weekly by 1964, more than the national average. London wages were always higher. The cost of living demanded it. Every route memorized, every fare collected, every passenger delivered safely. Shorthand typists in London, £8, 15 shillings a week at age 15. A respectable job for a young woman, clean hands, indoor work. But the pay gap remained. Women's work was always valued less, always paid less. Bank branch managers earned £2,200, 3 times a manual worker's wage. White collar, pinstriped suits, long lunch hours. The professional classes lived differently. Their £14 bought more because they earned so much beyond it. Prison officers started at £1,100 a year by 1969. Dangerous work, unsociable hours, but a steady wage and a pension. For working-class men with few qualifications, public service offered security above all else. Postmen in London earned £18, 16 shillings weekly by 1969. Good wages for walking miles each day. 2 deliveries daily. Letters and parcels, birthday cards and bills. The postman knew every household, every dog, every creaking gate. Entertainment cost little. The wireless played for free once you paid the license. Families gathered in the evenings, listened to comedy programs, dramas, the news. Children played in the streets until called for supper. Simple pleasures that money could not measure. Life moved slower then. The cinema was magic. A few shillings for 2 seats, newsreels before the main feature, ice cream sold by usherettes in the interval. Couples courted in the back rows. Families watched together in the stalls. For one evening, the wage packet brought dreams on a screen. The annual holiday. Blackpool, Scarborough, Margate. A week by the sea. Saved for all year. Boarding houses and fish and chips. Donkey rides for the children. Paddling in cold water. For 1 week, a working family escaped the factories, breathed salt air, felt almost wealthy. Every penny stretched. Housewives knew the price of everything. Compared the greengrocer to the market stall. Chose cheaper cuts. Mended clothes instead of replacing them. Waste nothing. Want nothing. This was the philosophy of survival. £14 demanded respect. Every shilling had to work hard. These stories of working Britain must not be forgotten. The wages, the prices, the lives built on so little. If you value documentaries preserving British history and the dignity of ordinary people, please subscribe to this channel. Press the bell icon, like and share. Help these memories endure. By 1968, wages had risen. Average male manual pay reached £22 weekly. Prices rose too. But the gap between wages and house prices was still manageable. A man could still buy a home, raise children, retire with dignity. The promise of hard work held firm. Unions fought for better wages. Meeting halls filled with workers demanding fair pay. The 1960s saw strikes and negotiations. Slowly, wages improved. Women's pay remained shamefully low, but the seed of change was planted. Collective bargaining gave ordinary workers a voice. Power came from standing together. Children needed shoes, school uniforms, dinner money. Growing feet waited for no wage packet. Mothers performed miracles with limited funds. Hand-me-downs passed between siblings. Shoes repaired until they fell apart. Nothing was wasted. Nothing thrown away. Every child was clothed. Every belly filled. Somehow. Always somehow. Christmas demanded saving all year. A shilling here, a sixpence there. The Christmas club at work. Presents purchased weeks in advance. Hidden in wardrobes. Wrapped in newspaper. On Christmas morning, children believed in magic. They never knew how carefully each gift had been budgeted. Every penny accounted for. Healthcare was free. The National Health Service, 12 years old, served everyone regardless of income. A worker earning £14 received the same treatment as a bank manager. Doctors, hospitals, medicines, all free at point of use. This was Britain's greatest post-war achievement. Healthcare without a price tag. New council estates offered hope. Modern homes, indoor bathrooms, gardens for children. Moving day was momentous. Families left cramped Victorian terraces for bright new houses. The rent was affordable on £14. The welfare state was keeping its promise. Working families could live with dignity, properly housed. Apprenticeships built careers. Young men learned trades from masters. 5 years of training. Low wages at first, but a skilled trade at the end. A career for life, a man's wage. This was the pathway from poverty to stability, from boy to breadwinner, from nothing to something. Hire purchase changed everything. Pay weekly. Own eventually. Television sets, washing machines, refrigerators. Luxuries once impossible now arrived in working-class homes. A few shillings each week. The debt hung overhead. But modern life beckoned. Progress could be purchased on installments. The future bought piece by piece. Retirement brought the state pension. Modest but certain. A working life of 48 years. Then rest. A small income guaranteed. Men who had earned £14 found ways to live on less. Habits of thrift lasted a lifetime. They had never known abundance. Survival was enough. 3 generations in one photograph. Grandfather, who earned 10 shillings a day. Father, earning £14 a week. Son, who would see wages rise beyond imagination. Each generation built upon the last, sacrificed for those who followed. This was the contract. Work hard, pass something on. Today, a home costs 12 times the average annual salary. In 1960, it cost 3 times. The gap has widened into a chasm. Young people today work just as hard, perhaps harder, but the arithmetic no longer adds up. Something fundamental has broken. The promise has been betrayed. The factories closed, the mines shut, the shipyards fell silent. The jobs that paid £14 a week vanished. Entire communities hollowed out. The working class that built Britain found itself redundant. Progress moved elsewhere. Left behind were memories, skills no longer needed, a way of life extinguished. £14, 2 shillings and a penny. A museum piece now. Young visitors cannot comprehend it, cannot imagine feeding a family on so little, cannot believe houses cost £2,000. The past has become foreign. A country we once inhabited, now only remembered through fading photographs. Those who remember still carry the knowledge, the weight of the wage packet in their hands, the walk home on Friday evening, the pride of providing, the fear of losing work. These memories live in aging bodies, in hearts that still remember when £14 was enough. 1960. A man earned £14, bought a home, raised a family, lived with dignity. It was not wealth, it was not luxury, but it was enough. May we never forget what ordinary wages once achieved and what working people built with so little. Britain remembers.